What is going on, everybody? I am here to talk about the top 5 Master Duel decks for the month of May. The DLE power rankings, they're here for Master Duel, and I figured this would be a perfect time with the new box right around the corner. I don't know if any of it's going to be meta relevant, if I'm being completely honest, but figured I'd rather get this video out sooner rather than later with that box incoming. Couple things before we get into it. One, you may have noticed not a whole bunch of uploads on the channel in the past week, plus I don't have my face cam on right now. As I said in a community post earlier, I have been dealing with an eye infection for the better part of a week now, so I apologize for the lack of updates. I'm glad for those that have had patience. The videos are coming. I actually have a lot of them recorded. I just have to actually upload them. So we'll definitely get some more daily uploads back on track once my appointment is all dealt with, which should be sometime next week. Thank you guys all for the get well soon wishes. Now, let's get into the power rankings. What is the power rankings? Well, we do single elimination and Swiss round tournaments, and as long as you have a side deck and you're following that best of 3, you can be a part of said power rankings, but you can see that it requires a lot more effort to get points in those single elimination tournaments, where the Swiss rounds, not as much effort. Although top 8 in Swiss is extreme, it takes an extremely longer time to get to than top 4 in single elim, which we think is the most fair when getting into the point territory. The tournaments that we will be looking at, 2 GG tours, that is both $500 events, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage steps, which are all single elimination tournaments. The GG tours being the Swiss into single elim 2-day formats that you guys have kind of come to know. So altogether, we're looking at a prize pool of a little over $1,100. Yep, $1,100 or so dollars. So pretty cool. Let's get into the data itself. Boom! In 5th place, we have Tri Brigade Littler-Cyric. I don't know, dude. Bird up. I don't know how to properly say him. You guys know this by now. 2nd place, as well as two top 4s, one in a GG Tour top 4. I do believe this deck probably earned the 5th place because it went on a tear against Sword Soul. Sword Soul was by far the most played deck this month, and this deck has an absolutely amazing matchup against them, thus allowing them to earn a 5th place finish on the power rankings. Only 5 points, though, and I want you to keep an eye on these points because they're good. The point difference gets pretty crazy as we go up the ladder. No spoilers. We'll get there when we get there. Bird up. You guys know what Bird up does at this point. It's the version of Tri Brigade that doesn't play very well into hand trap, specifically Max C. Max C is what dominates the entire metagame. And, I truly believe, I actually think this is their first time up on the power rankings, and I truly believe that is due to the overwhelming amount of Sword Soul that they were able to play this deck into. I have seen people attempt to just sit on their Smorg and pass against a Max C, but at the end of the day, being able to sit on Smorg versus being able to sit on something like Tri Brigade Revolt, we're going to see massive differences between all of the different decks. So let's keep going on. We actually have Rose Sword Soul Tinyi here in 4th place. I think the official TCG for this is Rose Tinyi. It's not so much Sword Soul. There's like 5 or 6 Sword Soul cards in the main deck at 1 copy, just to run it as kind of an engine. But it's a super interesting way. We actually saw this. The only thing this deck did was 1st place in the GG Tour that we just had, which was in the finals against another Sword Soul. So pretty cool to see them, this version of the deck, actually do it. And you can see because of the low number of points that these, bottom tier decks, if you will, have, just that one 1st place was able to put them on here is doing, very, very, very well. Conversion rate 0.5 because, well, it's the only one. So there you go. There's actually 2 entries and only 1 in top 4, top 8. Pretty cool deck. The concept is pretty similar to a standard Sword Soul deck, as you can see from the extra deck monsters, just with a few more Link monsters to go alongside it. And of course, having that main deck trap, that searchable trap from the Yang Zing. And, you know, obviously, if you ever get into your Rose cards, you're able to bring out the Bamboo Shoot to pop with the Boxia and get more advantages and kind of push that synchro strategy and play through interruptions and whatnot. We'll see if this deck is able to bring out any more dubs in the future, but they did get that first place, so good job to them. In third place, we have Invoked Dogmatica Shaddoll. Invoked has kind of been on a tear recently. You can see first place damage step, second place damage step, second place damage step. I think Invoked in general is doing very well, again, just due to the overwhelming number of Sword Soul players. Having that Invoked win does very good against them to slow down how many potential plays they can actually have. And I think a lot of these top 5 decks will end up just kind of being, you know, it's a direct response to how many people are playing the Sword Soul archetype. It's just overwhelmingly the most entered deck out of all of the decks. Winda is really good into that. You can see here they're playing the DPE engine as well. You can see a little bit of DPE influence with them, being able to go into that Anaconda as plan B, or honestly just being able to do it right away using your Alistair. Plus one more monster, and then boom, into that DPE plus Winda lockdown is extremely, extremely powerful. And of course, as always, the extremely strong hand traps, Dogmatica Punishment as the traps. Really good overall deck. You can play a bunch of hand traps. It fits very well into the current metagame. I think it's a fantastic option if you are looking to play Master Duel, not necessarily play one of the more well-known meta decks. Moving on, in second place with only 9 points, Sword Soul Tenyi. They were not able to finish in first place, even though they were the most played deck by far. That conversion rate does not look at all good. 130 overall entries, 0.05 for the conversion rate. Second GG Tour, top four, and then one top 8. Sword Soul is just getting absolutely dumpstered when it comes to the side deck. And I'll be honest, even though they're in second place, I actually want to go ahead and talk about first place, because this really does come down to a Sword Soul discussion. Boom! Tri-Brigade Zodiac with an overwhelming 30 points for a first place finish, 0.15 conversion rate with an overall 85 entries. First place, second place, top four, top 8. It is very clear that Tri-Brigade Zodiac is still the best deck. What is going on with Sword Soul? Why are they not performing? Well, I think it just comes down to a fundamental format thing with Master Duel, right? Like this it's different from TCG, it's different from OCG. We have cards like Max C, you know, that's legal, but then we don't necessarily have certain things that are banned in OCG. We've had a different ban list from both OCG and TCG, you know, with you know, honestly, the only thing stopping Tri-Brigade is Fractal to 2, which is probably the least effective hit you could possibly have for a Tri-Brigade engine. On top of that, you know, when you have cards like Max C in the metagame, or Nibiru, or whatever the case may be, those cards do very well against decks that are able to play a lot of their deck all at once, right? So Sword Soul, heavy synchro deck, you're going to go through your extra deck extremely quickly, is not able to effectively play around Max C. All of the cards that end up being main deck, side decked, are playing around, you know, Max C, Nibiru, cards like that. You know, that's why they're playing Cross Out. That's why they're playing, you know, all these different strategies to try and not get Nibiru, try and not get Max Seed. And to be honest, that kind of leaves them vulnerable when it comes to, you know, a side deck format type of tournament where people are going to be playing Token Collector, where people are going to be playing Dimension Shifter. You know, to be honest, Tri-Brigade isn't even the biggest threat to the Sword Souls. It's just amazing. 30 points. They're just so dominant, Tri-Brigade. You know, I've seen people play just pure Zodiac. You know, we've seen Buns play pure Zodiac and able to just self-climb up the, GG Tour tournaments purely off of farming Sword Soul players and just playing counters to the Sword Soul strategy. So yeah, I mean, I think it kind of goes without saying that Sword Soul does not fit into the Master Duel competitive format very well. I think this deck is okay on ladder. I mean, most decks are okay on ladder. You don't need to play Tri-Brigade to be successful on ladder. Tri-Brigade, there's nothing much to really say about them. You know, they are able to play all the hand traps they need to avoid playing into whatever strategy. They don't really care about whatever, because they can just play whatever hand trap they need to play. This deck is absolutely nuts. Sword Souls are just a disappointment, unfortunately. We have the top 8 conversion. You can see 36% Tri-Brigade, absolutely dominating everybody. Sword Soul Tinyi at 16%. I mean, it's not bad, but I feel like a lot of the tops that Sword Souls did get feels very much so because there's just so many of them, right? When you have so many of them, they end up mirroring, they end up boosting each other, and it's a weird phenomenon. You don't really see this in Duel Links. It's more of a Master Duel thing, maybe because people are just tired of playing Tri-Brigade, but you know, everyone's playing Sword Soul and it's just not putting up the results, yet they continue to play it in competitive, trying to put up results, thus boosting each other kind of up the ranks. Maybe after this video that's going to change. Maybe people are going to get over it and play, go back to Tri-Brigade, or wait until a patch comes out that changes the metagame. I don't know, but I think it's very safe to say at this point that we are in the Tri-Brigade simulator, man. The Tri-Brigade simulator is here, and there is just nothing that can stop it. Sword Soul, unfortunately, looks like that deck is going to be a flop. They did make the finals. I will say they did make the finals of the last GG Tour, which is pretty impressive. That being said, they probably were going to lose in top 4. Unfortunately, their opponent did end up disconnecting when the Sword Soul player was in the losing position. So top 4 is more of a realistic end for that tournament. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's not as impressive because, well, I mean, they've already had other top 4s, right? They really need that tournament win. And then when they do make it to the finals, they end up losing to essentially a more, I don't even know what the right word for it is. I guess a more janky version of their own self. So there you go. That's going to be it from me. Again, thank you guys so much for all your patience when it comes to the upload schedule. I promise we'll get back on track and get a proper upload schedule back here at DLE, but it just gonna take some time. Thank you guys so much. Till next time, peace out, boys.